Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Property Hustle Show. Have you ever wondered how certain real estate investing strategies, such as the Burr method or even Airbnb investing, Airbnb arbitrage, fares after 2022? How does it do today? Is it successful? Does it still work? Does it make sense? Well, today we are sharing a very special conversation between Ping and Miss Trang. If you're not familiar with Trang, she has been on our podcast before. She does a lot of Airbnb. She does a lot of Burrs. She started them in some more trying times. So her perspective on this, we consider it to be invaluable. So in this podcast, she's going to be sharing her insights. We're going to go over how she goes about the acquisitions, how she goes about the evaluations. There is going to be a portion of this that is going to be going over the numbers where we're going to be showing them on the screen. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to pause and look at those numbers if you really want to. But otherwise, I hope you enjoy this podcast. There's going to be a lot of value in it. If you have any questions, make sure to message us on Instagram or join our group sessions. We'd love to hear from you.
Let's start talking about a bit of strategy. I really like the way that you were thinking or approaching real estate. You're using a couple different strategies. One is to solve the cash flow issue, and the other one is to kind of burn and try to sort of maintain kind of a long-term accumulation type of approach. So can we quickly talk about this just so that the audience understands what type of approach that you're taking at this moment?
Yeah, the goal of Burr is to being able to leverage the equity from either your primary residence and being able to recycle that money over and over again at a speed that's a lot quicker than buy and hold. So this is essentially my second rental property and my first Burr. So it was a very quick one. It was more of an equity on the buy, and it was mostly lipstick reno. During the economic downturn, renovations, extensive renovation is a little bit more risky because depending on where the market is shifting. So for this specific project, I was new to the game. I wanted something quick, simple, lipstick reno. I wanted to test the Burr method, and that's how this project came about.
How did you find this project? The cycle of the economy, a lot of people are concerned about the ARV, right? And also like what kind of a max offer that you guys are making. So how did you determine the number and how did you find this deal?
So we found this deal off market. It was actually we had renovated one property, and the dumping guy, the guy that comes to the different properties, he has a dumping business. Because the dumping guys are the ones that come to the house to kind of pick up all the debris from either people selling or moving.
That's
so
smart.
yeah. So basically he was like the insider. He's like, hey, listen, I got a property coming up. You told me you were wanting to buy something off market. I have a friend who's selling. We're like, okay, cool. So he's like, it's 180K, pretty much lipstick reno. It's a bungalow. It's in a very, B neighborhood for the area. We were thinking, we did our market research. Usually at that time, all the detached bungalow homes were selling for like high 200s or 300s. So we were like, okay, this is like equity in the buy. Doesn't require a lot of work. We can turn it around quick. Let's just go for it.
So how did you guys come up with the 180K? Like, is that the asking price, or you guys needed to actually kind of work it down to 180K?
Yeah, so my partner is in charge of the negotiations. This is actually how I met my partner. This is the first project I partnered with him. So he kind of did the negotiations back and forth, but I knew that proposed this deal to me as a joint venture capital partner. I was like, hey, 180, that's like pocket change based on Toronto prices. And, I knew what the bungalows were selling for. So I'm like, hey, this is an easy flip because he told me that it would only require $10,000 in renovations. Strategic lipstick reno. So in a market where it's sort of like tertiary market and the rents are a little bit lower than Toronto, you don't really need to over renovate. So you're not talking about like luxury finishes like Toronto. You're really talking about a more, let's just renovate to that rental market,
Affordable rental.
Exactly. Affordable rental, right? You kind of need to renovate to the blue collars, people who are working at Walmart distribution center, people who are going to college. So you don't need to go all out like Toronto to get top dollars, right? Yeah.
And for long-term rental, just for the audience to understand, if you actually fix this up, is the rent payment going to cover all the expenses? Or do you have to rely on your strategy, Airbnb, for short-term rental?
So every deal that we do, it has to work cash flow on the buy. Like it has to carry itself, if not like barely carry itself on the buy. Because what we do is we buy problems. What we do is we buy under market rents, we buy problems, but we want to ensure that whatever money we put into the renovations, after we refinance it, it still has to cash flow. As you know, there's like 1% rule. So we buy 40 cents to 60 cents on the dollar. Then we spend a maximum of like 20 cents on the rentals. So that gives us a little extra 20 cents to kind of like do that loan to value. And then afterwards, it's 100% cash flowing. Like
I
at
see. Okay.
least,
Even on the long-term rental, it will still cash flow.
yes, we only do crunch our numbers on long-term rental, and we never consider short-term rentals as in our numbers because that would inflate the numbers, right? Because the goal is to have multiple exit strategies, right? So if it works on short-term rental, long-term rental, as a flip, then it works for us.
Sounds good. Okay,
Yeah.
why don't we do this? Let's dive into the number using spreadsheets so that we can actually
Okay.
showcase the numbers, the
Yeah.
number breakdown on this deal. Because here's the thing, based on the number that you're telling me, 200, if the ARV is anywhere between 260 or 300K, if you can get it at 180K, number one, even if the interest rate is high, because the size of mortgage is so little, it doesn't actually affect the monthly expense that much, right? At least compared to anybody who's buying it at 700 or 800K, like 45 minutes away from downtown Toronto, right? In downtown Toronto, it's going to be way higher. But yeah, the price point is very, very nice already. But let's kind of dive into this and see how the number actually works. So you were saying that the purchase price, you guys were able to negotiate down to 180K.
Yeah.
And this one's a single family, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Roughly how much is the closing fee?
$5,000.
5,000. That includes the land transfer tax, right?
Yes, it's very low there.
I see. Okay. And how much did you guys spend on the renovation?
We budgeted $10,000. We ended up $11,000. So we actually stayed almost like right on budget, including buying a new washer and dryer. So that was amazing.
Wow.
My partner did a really good job. What's that?
That's actually very good.
Yeah. We literally, like, I had my partner estimated the renovations cost. I had him broken it down to each whatever we're doing. And there was a lot of negotiating back and forth. I wanted a little bit more, prettier finishes. And he was like, nope, budget. I'm like, this is Cornwall budget. Let's go. So we made it within budget. I was happy with that.
Yeah. Financial discipline.
Yeah.
How many months did you guys finish? Did that take you to finish this project?
It took a month and a half to renovate. However, the financing was taking a long time because it was like during that very scary time where everyone's pulling back. So we had gone to A lenders and B lenders. And at that time, the market was very scary. Like people were fearful, including lenders. So they said, they made up all excuses. They're like, hey, you're in a tertiary market. We cannot fund you. You're across from a commercial area. We cannot fund you. Meanwhile, I was heavily in a residential area. So at the end of the day, my mortgage broker came back to me and said, we can't do it. I was like, okay, well, that's not good. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just pay cash. We were kind of put in a situation where we had no choice and we had to be creative. So I'm like, you know what? Cash is good because we could save another $5,000 to $7,000 on refinancing with another lender and paying the whole fee to get that loan. Sure. So in theory, the flexibility of leveraging a HELOC is very flexible because you save costs, and for short-term loans for flipping it's amazing.
Yeah, it's perfect actually because it's also interest only payment, right?
Yes.
Yeah, if you really factor in all the total payment with the principal plus interest, right, this actually turned out to be better, and also you can pay that back almost immediately. So okay, so you acquired this property entirely using your HELOC.
Yeah, exactly. That
Awesome.
was very scary. I was like, all right, I just met you, JV partner. Here's 200K. Let me just throw it at you.
Okay. How long did that take you to actually get that original HELOC?
So I would say 3 months, including the refi, because the refi took a lot longer than the rentals.
Okay, which means your carrying cost is roughly
7,000-ish.
7,000. Okay. How much did you guys appraise this property at?
Here's another creative part. It initially came in 250 because we missed it on the basement. It didn't have a basement. So the basement itself, the valuation was already like 30 to 50,000, even though it's not fully, legal length. They put a lot of emphasis on basement. So we lost the valuation. So we were projecting like high 200s. We got 250, but we didn't like that. So I had gone back to the appraiser and said, hey, no, this is wrong. This is incorrect. I'm like, you need to relook at it. So I pulled all these report together and I said, here, this is another house that just sold for 290 or 315. So he came back and said, here's another 10K. So we got 260.
Nice. Oh, so you negotiated that after value.
Yeah, we did. So I'm like, I'm not taking this. This is way too low.
Yeah.
Because, they were scared. They were all very scared.
You know what? A lot of people's solution to that, to the low ARV or low reappraised value, is that they just switch to a different lender, right? And then or a different appraiser, and obviously try to like get a better evaluation. So in this case, you went back to the exact same appraisal company and be like, hey, listen, like the number that you're providing is just not correct.
Exactly.
And then they correct it. Wow.
So he
Okay.
gave me another 10,000, so 260. Yeah.
260. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about refi. How much did you pull back from this lender?
Yeah. So afterwards, we went to the lender. They gave us 80% because I was like, I'm not stopping until I get 80%. So there's many vendors that gave me like 70, 75. I'm like, nope, nope, nope. I need 80. So I didn't give up until I got 80. So I get
Okay.
all my capital out.
Yeah.
I
Is that
want
with
to be
a
a perfect burr.
yeah, is that with an A lender or B lender?
A lender.
That's an A lender. Which one?
Scotia.
Scotiabank. Nice.
Yeah.
Scotia is actually pretty investor friendly. So okay, now obviously this is a very successful bird in today's market, which is very rare to see. So kind of walk us through about your cash flow right now after the refinance.
Yeah, so cash flow is actually insane because I was completely shocked. So if you were doing long-term rental, right? Let's just say your mortgage is at 208 and you're getting 22,000. That's still pretty much the 1% rule as a long-term rental, right?
Yeah.
However, I wasn't happy with that. Like, no, I'm not doing a couple $100 of cash flow. Interest rates so high. I need more. So we turned into a Airbnb. So that long-term rental would be like 200-300, very little. Because we turned into an Airbnb, we were doing anywhere from 4,500 to 6,000. So I'm guesstimating we've only managed for almost a year, 8 months. So far, we've had like 1,200 on average cash flow, net cash flow after all expenses.
That's amazing. Additional 1,000.
Yeah, it was crazy. Some months we would do, I would say like 3,000 cash flow, but this is on average. It's up and down. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so in this case, a lot of people when it comes to calculating ROI, obviously is really comparing the money that's in the deal versus how much money they can make, basically comparing the spread. But in your case, you already got all of your capital back, so your ROI is pretty much infinity. But just for the audience to kind of understand how good this deal is, one of the indicators that we're looking at is obviously the cash on cash return, which is really if you're using the net operating income here. If this is your after all expense, you still get 1,200 profit of your property, and this is per month, right? So times 12, the total annual profit is 14,000. And if we use the total profit divided by initial capital, this literally gives us 24.41%. This is very high. I had trouble getting to 10%.
Wow.
Like before, by the way, before 2017. Yeah. So, and then, sometimes when we calculate cap rates and all that stuff, right, we're looking at anywhere between like 4 to 6% only. So this is literally 4 times the ROI. Just by holding the property, and this doesn't even include the mortgage pay down, doesn't include the future appreciation. So yeah, this deal is actually a really good deal.
3 months, all capital back and more. And then it's 24 cash and cash returns. So that's I mean, in theory, that 59,000 has already been paid back, right? So, even without the money being paid back, it's still, like you said, 24%, right?
Yeah.
But in my case, I got the house for free because I got that money back after a refi in 3 months.
For sure. Okay, so question here, how did you get the Airbnb guests over there?
To be honest, I was really shocked because it's not a vacation rental. So the type of guests that we get is mostly construction workers because it's an up and coming town. There's a lot of development, and because the labor within that market is very scarce, so they outsource the labor from neighboring towns, right?
Yeah.
The town is like 55% renters. I was targeting people visiting family. Is a retirement town, so a lot of people came for funerals, visit family. They had a baby, mostly construction workers. I do a lot of construction workers who stay for a year. So they come back on the weekdays. They book the weekdays and they go home on the weekends. And on the weekends, I get the guests that are visiting family. So I kind of like have the two segment of guests. Long term, I only book the weekdays to go home the weekends, and the weekends I get the weekend guests who visit family. So it's a perfect combination. I'm always fully booked.
Yeah. Okay. So since we're on that topic, let me just do a deep dive on that. You didn't know that Airbnb, what type of Airbnb guest profile that you would get. You were kind of just testing things out. But when it comes to renovation on a property, sometimes we do set up Airbnb slightly different. Do you have to make any adjustment, gathering the furnitures, like decorating the house and all that stuff, keep it like a furnished long-term rental? and then test the market?
I went above and beyond. I looked at my comps, I look at my competitors, and I want to offer more value and
Yes.
offer a property that you can kind of find in either Ottawa, Montreal, or Toronto. And I want to bring that aesthetic to Cornwall, because Cornwall, if you're catering to the target profile, it's very basic. It's very like, hey, grandma's old furniture, hand-me-down. So for me, I wanted to put the best product, the highest value with the highest quality forward in order to obtain, the cash flow. But I know that the demand is already there for these type of travelers.
Mhm.
I just wanted to maximize and be the cream of the crop of Cornwall, because the competition is like very low.
Yeah. Okay. Couple major indicators for Airbnb. Number one is the occupancy rate. How much are you guys getting roughly?
85%. So
Oh,
last
that's really good.
on average, well, summer is pretty much 100%. So October was going into transitional period, slow season. So October we were getting, like last month it was 92%.
Wow.
This month I'm already at 70%. So what I do is I try to negotiate, kind of like develop a relationship with the construction workers. I'm like, hey, how are you? Try to develop a relationship with them, like, hey, please come back. So every time I'm trying to convert them to my Airbnb. So I try to develop a relationship with them, like, hey, come back to my book with me directly. You can save 10%, save the Airbnb fees.
Yeah.
And each week, I'll have a place for you. So I have 2 groups I'm working with right now. They've been there for a year. So what happens, I have 2 Airbnbs. So if one is booked up, I send them to the other one. So it's free market. So
Yeah.
like swapping between them, or I can cater to a larger group and combine the 2.
For sure, yeah. That's a benefit when you have like multiple different properties, right? Because the moment that you're providing 2 or 3 properties, people's options kind of get locked into just these 2 options, rather than thinking about, oh, I still need to go on the Airbnb platform, the website, and try to look for different options. The moment that you can do 2 or 3 or 4 options, they just automatically eliminate all the other options on the market. So I
Exactly.
think that's pretty smart. Now, the daily rate, how much? Do you mind sharing that a little bit?
Yeah, the daily rate in the summer was a lot higher. So we were looking at 175. And low season right now, margins are a little bit lower. So we're looking at like 125 to 150.
Okay, so you're constantly adjusting that to make sure that you have a higher occupancy.
Yeah.
Got it.
Exactly. I run a more of very dynamic pricing. I check the prices every day. It's almost like selling bananas. If you don't sell it today, I mean, you're selling time. If the
Yeah.
time is gone, you're never going to get that profit or that money back, right? So it's either you make some money or you make nothing. So that's kind of like the philosophy I adapt.
For sure. Now, cleaning fee, are you doing the cleaning yourself, or like your partner's
No,
doing it, or?
I have a amazing 5-star cleaning team. Cleaning fees about average $105, including laundry.
100 and
5.
wow, that's a very specific number.
Because it's $70 for 2 girls an hour. So I tell them max 1.5 for 2 girls, Yeah. So I tell them to max out here. And if there's anything above and beyond, then I would pay. If it's like the guest made a mess, and I charge back the guest.
By the way, just so, because I do have a bit of experience in the Airbnb running.
Yes, you do. You're the one who inspired me to do it.
So we're constantly having a lot of trouble with the quality of the cleaning, and then sometimes that can affect the review. How do you manage to do that? Because we actually just came up with a very decent strategy, which I'm going to share that in a little bit. But I wanted to know how you're managing your team and then keep them motivated on wanting to actually keep the place high quality.
So the first is to hire a team that loves cleaning and that enjoys it. Because when you enjoy it, it's like you're very meticulous. So almost like hire an OCD person, they're like very, very like a high performer. My first cleaner actually did a horrible job. My first cleaning team left like huge mess under the bed with socks and food, and it was just really bad. So I had to replace that team, and I found a new team, the credibility in the industry. The second part is managing expectations. The first cleaning team, I'm like, hey, you know what? You're the expert subject matter. I'm going to let you ride with it. That was a big mistake. The second team, I'm like, hey, first of all, do you have the skill sets to be meticulous and detail oriented and escalate problems when they come? Yes. Okay, cool. The second is like, here's a list. I have like a checklist, right? And I do it through this app called Turno. It's been a major game changer. So they have a checklist, right? I check their work and I almost do an impromptu inspection. So I'm like, oh, hey, my partner's in town. He's going to pop by in like an hour. So we kind of do like impromptu inspections, pretend that we are in town to check it out. We give constructive feedback. So if something is wrong, we tell them right away. They understand, and we kind of manage expectations. And once we understand, like, both people can work together, I'm very hands off now.
I see.
So ever since they've come up on board, it's been 5-star clean. So we utilize this app called Turno, which syncs the calendars. If I get a booking like today for tomorrow, in an hour, she'll get it. She'll accept. She'll check with her team. She'll accept. And we don't talk at all.
Sorry, how do you spell that? Erno?
Turno.
Nice. Okay.
So you can
Actually,
also do checklists in there. You can get them to sign off checklists. And if they don't accept the clean for that time, then I follow up. I'm like, hey, you didn't accept it. Are you coming? She's like, yeah, no, I'm just checking with the schedule. So there hasn't been a miss clean. I literally don't talk to her.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's free with hospitable.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, I'll look into this. So just to share a bit of a like different approach, right? So the way I overcome this is I incentivize them if they can, after they finish cleaning, if they can also do a report, they get additional $10. If we get 5-star review, I also pay them a little bit more. So I use incentive with their performance, right? And that's been working out for me so far. But again, cleaning has always been my biggest issue, especially in Hamilton, just because people tend not to care as much.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? That's the same with Cornwall, but yeah, I don't give them incentives, but I acknowledge their accomplishments. I'm like, you guys are doing amazing. If you guys keep at this 5-star clean, I will add on more properties. I want to grow with you guys. So I kind of sell them the big picture vision.
Sure.
They started with one, all 5 stars. Then now I have a second one, all 5 stars clean. So I'm like, can you guys handle more? So I'm like, perfect. So I guess that in turn kind of like give them more business and build that relationship.
For sure. That's awesome. Okay, so let's go over the deal breakdown a little bit between the investors, because I understand that you do have a partner here. I just want to kind of understand how's that being structured, right? Because a lot of people, when they first get into real estate, they're trying to think about many different ways. People talk about 50-50, people talk about like utilizing the private lenders and all that stuff. How did you structure this deal with your partner?
So this is a 50-50 deal. So there's an active partner and there's a passive. Active partner is 50-50. I was the passive partner.
Okay. And you're the one who's providing obviously the whole thing. Well, in this case, you didn't provide 59K, you provide 180K, right?
203.
Like
the whole thing, 203.
Oh, 203, sorry. Yes. Okay.
But ideally, the strategy was for me to do the 59, but because we had to be creative and I had more capital, so I'm like, all right, whatever.
That's funny. Okay, awesome. So 0 down for your partner. And in this case, you guys are sharing even for the cash flow. So who's managing the Airbnb?
I am.
Okay. So in a way, you are also an active investor.
After this deal, I became active.
I see.
This was my first trial and I'm like, oh, hello, can I be active with you? Okay, cool. So after this deal, I became active. So I am active this deal as well. I'm doing the management and he's doing the property management, like in case something happens, like he sends his guys.
I see. And you guys are still doing the split with the cash flow here, right?
Yes.
Got it. Okay, no, that's awesome. I think for the very first deal, this is obviously super successful. I don't think anybody can ask for any better deal, because in this one, within 3 months, you got all of your capital back. You maintain a very good relationship with your partner. I'm sure you guys also enter into a different joint venture for a different deal. And for this one, even though the management needs might be slightly higher for Airbnb, but you guys are at least cash flowing positively for both of you guys. So I think this is very inspiring. Is there anything that you would want to share for this specific project, like things that you differently?
Honestly, I took a calculated risk and it really paid off, and it opened my eyes to the potential of burrs. And this is like almost like the unicorn burr, where you didn't need a lot of renovations. We were on budget. And I pretty much have a house for free, even though people think, oh, why am I giving all the money, and the person who is, I would say, the entrepreneur doing the work, the active partner taking 50%. But at the end of the day, like if you don't have the people, or you don't have the deal, you literally have nothing. Your money is rotting in the bank. I mean, for a better lack of word. But in my case, I took calculated risk. It was a lower risk because it was my first rodeo, and I came up on top, and I now own a free house. Yes, it's 50%, but without my partner, I wouldn't be here. Without the morale and having that partnership, I would still, be slaving away in 9 to 5 and paying all my salary to taxes. So now it's like it really, really, really opened up my eye just because I was able to take that extra step to like jump in and be like, let's just take the risk, calculate the risk,
Yeah, usually, especially with partnership, right? Kind of break it down into three different components. One is obviously the money, right? Without capital, a lot of things is really hard to push. The next one is skill, and then time, right? So at that time, you have the capital, you may not have the time or expertise to actually operate a project. So you provide huge components, which is the capital, into this deal. And for 50% of share, not only did you decide to just receive that 50% of share, you decide to learn the business model and then become an operator for your next deal. So I think honestly, at the end of the day, sometimes you do need to sort of pay into some sort of a learning curve, or I would say some people pay coaching, but again, coaching doesn't teach you the practical experience.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think you made the right decision here because a lot of people's biggest concern is that they don't have capital, they don't want to invest in themselves.
Yeah.
If you just dive into one deal and this turned out to be very successful.
Yeah. And what I learned is that money is actually easy to find. You go to the bank, you're like, hey, I need a loan. Cool, that's it. But the deal, very difficult, as most investors know. And the people who's going to do all that work, deal with all the stress of rentals and crazy tenants. And, so for me, it was just like, all right, I can keep doing this. And the fact is like, because it's 3 months burr, I can recycle that money and buy another property, which I did. So the scale is very quick.
That's awesome. Is there anything else that you want to share on this one? Like the things that you might be doing differently, or you feel like this is actually it went over and beyond on what you were expecting?
I would say, yeah, it went above and beyond what I was expecting. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah, I got addicted after this. I was like, that's it. It's like learning on the job. That's it. No coaching, no theory, no books, just learn on the job.
That's great. That's great. Awesome. Thanks for sharing this. And then thanks for the breakdown because this obviously will be very inspiring to a lot of audience. Okay.
Thanks,
by the way, that was great.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Pete. That was awesome.
Okay. Thanks a lot. We'll be in touch
Bye.
then. Okay, bye.
Bye.